understand, especially in a time where there's just so much, you know what I mean? So much fitna, so much fitna, so many different opinions, so many different issues, right? So, inshallah khair. This is what we need to, to do now. So let's skip Asma. I think we talked about her. Let's move to the next Sahabiya. Let's go down. Yeah, this we covered last time. Abu Bakr in the cave, Prophet ﷺ, the role of Asma and what she did. Alhamdulillah. Let's go down. We know that the cave of Thawr, we need to remember this name, the cave of Thawr. Okay. And this is where the Prophet ﷺ sought refuge with Abu Bakr. This is where the event of the spider web and the pigeon. Wallahu alam, there's sometimes, we have to understand there's some weaknesses in some of the narration. That doesn't mean that they're not true. Okay, that doesn't mean that they're not true. It's just that we're so strict on these narrations that sometimes we have to recognize the weakness in them, but that does not mean that they are not true. Okay, right? So some of the narrations have some weakness would be usually when we look in hadith, maybe one of the person who is in the chain of narration, he might have weakness, meaning, well, either something happened with him or there's something that was in question about his, it could be character, it could be other things. That does not mean that it is, that he is, that the hadith is not correct. Even a weak hadith, it doesn't mean that it's not true. It just means that it's not so strong in its report. It has to be something that we call fabricated, all right, that can cause any problems. But a weak hadith doesn't necessarily mean that it is not true. It's very important to understand, okay? Now, when we study mustalah al-hadith or the science of hadith, and it can be corroborated by other hadith that will strengthen it, okay? Hasan li ghayrihi, or, it is, let's say, sahih li ghayrihi or li dhatihi. It depends on how, the different hadith and different chains can strengthen this hadith, the meaning specifically, okay? It's very important to understand these things. When someone says a hadith is weak, does not necessarily mean that the subject or what it represents, the matan, the actual meaning, is weak. Because it could be another hadith that says the same thing, and the two of them now put together has more strength. Do you understand? Now, so yeah, the cave of thought has to be remembered. The story has to be remembered. It is when the Prophet was with Abu Bakr. Imagine they could have caught them. They got away by the blessings of Allah, the protection of Allah, sending these. Obviously, when you see like there's a spider web, you cannot say, okay, they've gone in the cave, right? Allah sent these protections, these junud, these soldiers to protect the Prophet and Abu Bakr. Right? Remember, Abu Bakr was saying, Ya Rasulullah, they can see us. What if they look down? They'll see us. And the Prophet said, what do you think of, two? And the third of them is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah was with them. And look at the yaqeen and the certainty of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was still a man, and of course he's hiding he could just be flying around. Allah can just take him with an angel and destroy the kuffar and munafiqeen. But no, it teaches us that you have to take precautions. The Prophet ﷺ was just a human being. You cannot imagine that he had like these superpowers. He's flying around like, no. No, he was attacked in Uhud, right? We know that his teeth were broken. We know that he was hurt. Okay. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us His humanity, that it teaches us. Imagine the Prophet would just be like some kind of a, a'udhu billah, natural, supernatural being, right? As some people make others be. Many people, they cannot connect to them. They cannot say, yeah, we can never achieve that level. It's extremely important, Yani, to understand the the position of Prophet ﷺ in these events when he shows his humanity. Right? They're attacking and he has to run. He's being chased. He has to escape. He has to migrate. Right? Why? Why can't he just invoke Allah's curse upon him and destroy everyone? Right? Send angels. Why? Right? Well, because the Prophet ﷺ is teaching us. Allah is teaching us. Okay? You need to understand that, please. Extremely, extremely important for us to understand, Yani, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us in this life, Yani, and in the hereafter, for us to learn these things. Okay? Now, so let's move on. Let's move down, please. Sorry, let's move down. Okay. Okay, so one point here is yes, that Asma, the daughter of Abu Bakr, she married Az-Zubair, Az-Zubair ibn Awad, very strong Sahabi, one of the greatest fighters of all times. And Az-Zubair was not very wealthy. He had only a horse in which he fought in the way of Allah, right? You can see that he was a soldier. And she used to take care of him. And here we see, okay, for all those who try to say that, well, a woman doesn't have to work for her husband and help her husband. She doesn't have to do chores at home, right? It's only out of her kindness and this and that. Fine, Asma was working really hard, helping Az-Zubair, right? She was serving her husband in her home, taking care of the responsibilities. She carried great responsibilities. Today, a lot of young sisters, they say, no, I don't have to do that. Today, a lot of young sisters, they say, well, some sheikhs say that it's not the must for a woman, it's not wajib for a woman. This is totally a wrong opinion. Okay, it is an opinion, but it is a wrong opinion. Yes, it is opinion of some scholars. People say, yeah, but how can you go against? Because there's other scholars who say that this is a wrong opinion. Don't just follow because a scholar said so, that's it. The opinion is because someone said that. No, even if it's the greatest scholar, it doesn't matter. It has to be proof. When we look at Asma, we look at Fatima and how she served Ali, and we look at the Sahabiyat. Yes, it is, of course. Especially if the man is telling his wife to cook, to clean, to do this, to do that. This is something that makes clear sense. You don't have to like, yeah, I mean, think too much about this, right? Imagine, okay, it's for men it's wajib, right, to like take care and provide this and that, right? Of course. So we have to also look at the wajib of the woman. No. Okay, let's go down. So keep in mind that Zubair was not an easy man to deal with. This is clear. This is very, very clear from the seerah that Zubair was a very difficult person to deal with. It was he had a heavy hand actually, even, and some narrations that he actually would sometimes get heavy-handed. Okay. So this is what actually it led them to divorce. Okay, it led them to divorce actually, right? And we see that some Sahabas they divorced. Divorce is not the end of the world. Okay, it will happen. To some people, it will happen. To some people, it has to happen. It's better if it happens in some cases, okay, than to hurt and to suffer. It's just the way it is, brothers and sisters. Sometimes you have to understand that It is better sometimes to divorce than to stay in toxicity and to hurt each other and to break the rules of Allah. And we don't encourage divorce. It's one of the worst things, actually. Shaitan, he rejoices in divorce. Okay. But yeah, we need to uh, to be careful that we don't just follow our emotions and you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made divorce halal. Okay. The hadith that says that divorce is the most hated thing to Allah. This is actually any weak, maybe even fabricated hadith, actually. Okay. No. All right. Let's go down. And we know, okay, that when Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, he attacked, I hope you guys know this story, he attacked Medina. This was a huge fitna, okay? And she was almost like 100 years old, very old, okay? But she had a heart full of faith. And Abdullah ibn Zubair, he was defeated in this battle against Hajjaj, okay? However, he fought so hard, and Abdullah ibn Zubair was encouraged by his mother, okay? She did not talk bad about her husband. She always spoke positively of Zubair as a hero of Islam to her son, right? While today we find women, and I'm telling you that there are narrations where Abdullah bin Zubair, Zubair, that most likely he hit Asma, okay? He hit her. Allahu alam, yani, but there are some indication that now she never used anything to put her husband, ex-husband down in front of her son, Abdullah. And when she saw Abdullah wearing some too much armor, she said, "What is it? Like, you're the son of Zubair. What are you afraid? Right? Are you afraid of death? Are you afraid of martyrdom? What are you afraid of?" This is a mother telling her son. Today, a mother, she's telling her son, Yani, be afraid of crossing the street. Don't cross the street. Yani, guys are not even allowed to go to the store today. They're considered Yani, extremely weak. Mothers are overprotective. Instead of pushing their sons to be more manly and stronger, they're pushed to be weaker and more childish. It's horrible. We reached a very, very yani, horrible time in the history of humanity, sadly, when it comes to manhood, right? Not Abdullah ibn Zubair, not Asma. Look, it's a woman, right? The same women that today are maybe calling against toxic masculinity and men are violent and this and that. She's calling her son to be a real man. And yes, to stand. And yes, to be strong. And yes, to fight if he has to. And not to be afraid. Right? So it's huge. It's a woman saying that. It's not another misogynistic man was doing it. It's a woman. It's his mother. Okay? You need to take care of this point. It's very important. Now, it was a great mother equals great son. Great father, inshallah, great son. Right? They live by. Now, when she heard, so he fought with Azubair, right? We know that happened. So and he fell. Okay. Beautiful lines of poetry here. It says the poet was saying, "How did you find Zubair? Did you find him a cottage cheese or date fruit? Or did you find him a raving falcon?" What a beautiful, beautiful poem. Let's go down a bit. Let's see the whole poem, please. Go down a few lines, please, so you can see the whole poem. No, up at the poem, please. Where it says, how did you find Az-Zubair? Up, up. Yeah, more till the poetry. I think you skipped down too much. Yeah, you went too down. So up, up, up. Back to Asma bint Abi Bakr. This is Asma bint Uwais. Now you have to go back to Asma bint Abi Bakr. I think you're going the wrong way. Oh, sorry. I don't know. Where's Asma bint Abi Bakr? I think you skipped the page. Sorry. Where al-Fadl here? Up, up, up. I think we lost this is, no, I don't know, we're lost. This is Sophia. I don't think, did we cover Sophia? Yeah, here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. This is Asma, right? Okay, down, down, down a bit till the poetry, the lines of poetry. Just a little bit down. Down a bit. Okay. Down a bit. Where are the lines of poetry? There was some, go back up. Oh no, there's some lines of poetry that I wanted to read. Up. Up. The where it says, how did you find Zubair? Up. Up, up. Where is it? Go down a bit. That's what we read. Where are the verses? SubhanAllah. Against, okay, Hajjaj. Her son. Okay, here. Pages of history. The hero, go down a little bit. Slowly, slowly. Down. Okay. Go down. Don't know where what did it disappear? SubhanAllah. Okay. Go down, go down.
You're looking for the poetry, Sheikh?
Yes, there was some lines of poetry. I was reciting and then you guys moved the thing and then it just
Oh,
disappeared.
okay.
It said, how did you find Zubair? Did you find it like a fruit or this and then or did you find like a falcon raging on? These were the lines of poetry. Where did it disappear?
Yeah, I don't
Khair,
remember
inshallah.
saying that.
Yeah, it was right there. It was on the screen. I was reading the lines of poetry. It says, how did you find Zubair? Did you find him as a fruit or this, or did you find like a raging falcon? Anyway, let's move on. Khalas, never mind. Or I don't know. But anyway, that was the war between, and at the time, as I said, Hajjaj and Abdullah. They attacked Medina. They even attacked Mecca. and they broke parts of the Kaaba. It was a mess. So kind of big civil war in which Abdullah was killed. Big fitna. We studied some of the fitna in Al-Awasim and Al-Qawasim, if you remember Ibn al-Arabi's book. Okay. Anyway, let's move to Safiya. Okay. Safiya bint Abdul Muttalib. Okay. This is the paternal aunt of the Prophet ﷺ. Remember, the Prophet ﷺ also married the other Safiya, which was the Jewish one. He married one, her name was Safiya. This is the other one. This is the paternal aunt. Okay, a daughter of his maternal aunt. Okay, a mother of Az-Zubair and Hamza. Okay, Hamza ibn Abu Talib's full sister, sorry. Okay, so that's where you can see how they are related. Now, let's go down. Okay, go down a little bit. It said that she was the Prophet's only maternal aunt who embraced Islam and migrated. She has strong personality. She was inclined to stresslessness. Okay, and so she was right. So she was quite strong. Okay, she was quite strong. And there's, for example, an incident where one of her sons came home and complained from bullying. Okay, from different friends. So she would rebuke him and tie him up and beat him up. Okay, now this would be considered child abuse and whatnot, right? This would be like, oh my God, how can you do that? But that's because we're weak. Now, I'm not saying go tie up your children and beat them up, but in a sense, we're living in a very weak world and we would have issues with this kind of behavior, right? But she was definitely better than all of us, right? So Safiya bint Abdul Muttalib, yani, can anyone ever say that that we are better than her? No, she is better than us. So how come she's beating her child in? So one of the members of her husband's family passed by while she was treating her son that way. He requested her to be kind, but she told the man that she wanted to make a man out of her son. Okay, a man that was yani, undefeated, right? A man that would never surrender to any of Allah's creatures. That's beautiful. I totally agree that she had the right understanding. People would be against it, but I think she knew what she was doing. It was reported that Az-Zubair engaged in a duel with someone who slandered him, and Az-Zubair broke the hand of the slanderer and severely beat him up. The beaten man in his pain was brought to Safiya, and she asked what happened to him. She was told that he fought with Az-Zubair, and he did to him what you are seeing. When she heard that, she proudly sighed, here it is. Okay, can you go down a little bit? Just down. No, up, sorry, up. Up. Right there. Okay, stop. All right, perfect. So basically, Az-Zubair fought with someone, okay? So Az-Zubair fought with someone and broke his hand. So what did she say proudly? How did you find Az-Zubair? Did you find this is line of poetry I was looking for, sorry. Did you find him a cottage cheese or date fruit, or did you find him a raving falcon? He's not as simple to overcome or an easy food to be eaten effortlessly. Safiya achieved what she wanted, for Az-Zubair grew strong in body and soul. He had a body that knew no weakness. No, he was not lazy, he was not sluggish, right? It also said that Safiya did not embrace Islam until the day her brother did so. To her son, Az-Zubair, though her son Az-Zubair earlier embraced Islam, she used to fight him upon that. But as Zubair had passed the stage of childhood to manhood, then and became independent in his personality and opinion. She then had no control over him. He was, however, dutiful to her and compassionate with her. Sophia had many commendable and praiseworthy stances with the Messenger of Allah in the cause of promoting Islam. One of these in her stance during the Battle of the Trench. Okay, so again, who was Sophia? She was the mother of Az-Zubair. Okay, Sophia Bint Abi Talib is the mother of Az-Zubair. Okay, so we need to remember that. Very important. Sophia Bint Abi Talib, okay, was the mother. And she was Muhammad's aunt. Okay, so who's Az-Zubair then? Az-Zubair is then the first cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, the first cousin. And he is also a brother-in-law, yani, because he was married to Asma, right? Yeah. This is very, very important to understand. This is extremely important. SubhanAllah. Beautiful. Like what a beautiful poetry as well. Okay. When the Prophet ﷺ went to the Battle of the Trench, he put the women of his household in a fortress called Farid, and he assigned Hassan ibn Thabit. A Jewish man came and climbed the fortress until he was able to see us. I asked Hassan to rise up and kill him, but he said that he couldn't do so. If he would have been, he would have done so. He would have been with the Prophet ﷺ. So yeah, he was scared. Yeah, actually, I then rose up and killed him and cut off his head. I then asked Hassan to drag the head of the invader to the Jews who were at the bottom side of the fortress. He swore by Allah that he would not do so. So I took the head and threw it on them. The Jews then say, we knew that this man, meaning the Prophet, would not leave behind his family without someone to look after them. So they disperse. Right? So this was done by Asma. What a extreme woman. She decapitated this man. Okay. Asma. Okay. Asma. Sorry, Safiya bint Abdul Muttalib. Okay. Um, did this. Okay. So, very strong personality, very, very strong in faith, very strong dignity. On the day of Uhud, she had more than one stance. When the people felt defeated, she moved forward. And when people felt retreated, she advanced. Hamad narrated on the authority of Hisham that Urwa said Safiya came on the day of the Battle of Uhud, while the Muslim was vanquished, holding a spear in her hand and striking it with it the face of the polytheist. When the Messenger of Allah saw her, he called her son to take hold of her, lest she be harmed, for she was his aunt. Okay, Prophet did not like the women go to battle. Some of these women had this strong personality, but they were not warriors. Okay, they were not like units of war that women would take. So there's isolated cases such as Sophia, such as other Sahabiyat who tried to, because they were, again, someone had the skill, someone had strong personalities. Okay. But there was no unit or part of the army for women. And the Prophet that I like, as you can see, that he told them, and he told her son, which is Zubair, to take his mom away because he did not want her to get hurt. Okay. Sophia was who? She was the she was the sister of Hamza bin Abdul Muttalib. So when she heard of the martyrdom, she advanced to look at him and see how he was mutilated. Right? But Az-Zubair stood in her way out of concern for her. Says, my mother, Allah's messenger ordered you to go back. It is here that Safiya attained the peak of her stance. and her personality of the strong and persevering believing woman. She told Az-Zubair, why should I go back since I have heard that my brother was mutilated in the cause of Allah? We are not pleased with what happened, but I will bear with patience and I hope to get the reward from Allah if He so wills. Az-Zubair gave back to the Prophet and told him that, and the Prophet said, let her go. Then came to Hamza and stood beside him. She shed no tears, sought Allah's forgiveness, and said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Okay, beautiful, beautiful, and strong, mashallah. Strong stance, strong iman. Allahu barak. No, let's go down. So that was Safiya. Now, the above verses fit Safiya. We know وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. The verses. Now, and that's exactly what happened. For she did not utter a single word of eulogy except for the Prophet died. Tabarani reported, when the Prophet died, Safiya came out waving her garment and saying, many occurrences have taken place after you. If you were alive and had been witness to them, calamities would not have reached such a proportion. Ibn Ishaq reported some lines of poem in which Safiya eulogized the Prophet ﷺ, part of which reads as follows. The day we miss the message of Allah is here. O eyes, shed abundant and plentiful tears. She was also reported to have said, the day of your death is certainly a day in which a sun wrapped up in darkness through it is shining. Right? None of the historian disputes attributing these poetries to Safiya. This is because she was known a reciter of poetry, but not as a poetess. Safiya lived till the time of the Khalifa of Omar, before she passed away. May Allah be pleased with her. No. Al-Fadl. May Allah be pleased with her. Her name is Lubaba bin Al-Harith. And she was the wife of Abbas. She was the wife of Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib, which is the Prophet's uncle, beloved uncle. She is the sister of Maymuna, okay, and the mother of the faithful, right? May Allah be pleased with all of it. According to Ibn Sa'ad, she was one of the first women to embrace Islam after Khadija, al-Fadl. She and Maymuna had two other half-sisters, Asma and Salama. And it was these four sisters that the Prophet ﷺ described as the believing sisters. Now, as for Fadl, she had roles and instances regarding the noble house of the Prophet ﷺ. Hence, roles and stances related to the call onto the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fadl was a regular visitor of Khadija, and she would often meet the Prophet ﷺ, get knowledge from him, and she was very good at keeping secrets, and so on. She dealt with her husband as mistress of the household and a dutiful wife, and she saw a wonder in him. Again, we can see, mashallah, women who are fulfilling their roles. None of this, that modern day sadness that we see. Abbas sympathized with his nephew Muhammad ﷺ and defended him, as we know. He was not Muslim yet. But it was tribalism, it was love for the Prophet ﷺ, but he definitely know how much he sympathized and helped the Prophet ﷺ. Fadl was expecting the decision of Allah concerning Abbas's acceptance of Islam, eagerly wishing that would take place very soon. He was also hoping that he would stop eating up people's wealth unlawfully, as he was doing a lot of riba. Well, he used to be among those who dealt with riba very, very strongly. He was well known for that. And he loved money. Okay, it's known. Now, Al-Fadl was very astonished the day she saw Abbas witnessing the allegiance of Al-Aqaba, the Pledge of Al-Aqaba, right? Remember, like he went with the Prophet ﷺ and told the people the big speech that they should defend him and so on, right? Like he was the guardian of his nephew. But she had the great surprise the day she saw him going out with the Quraysh to fight the Muslim during the Battle of Badr. Okay, that was even worse. So how come? So Abbas goes with the Prophet ﷺ, witnesses the Pledge of Aqaba to help her nephew, but then goes with Quraysh to fight the Muslims. Okay, how come? That's subhanAllah. So she took a little rest when Abbas came back to Mecca after he was taken as a captive. Right? He was taken by a captive by the Muslims and then released through the Prophet's favor. It was then that he felt the faith of Islam and the light started creeping into his heart to remove the darkness. Okay, then the household of Abbas stabilized and became perfectly harmonized. Okay, Al-Fadl had always been persistent about Abbas accepting from Islam. Okay, even though she knew that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can guide, right? So you see here a woman who's been Muslim for a long time with a guy who's not yet Muslim, her husband. He's a great man, helped the Prophet, but then he goes and fights against the Muslims, right? He gets captured. How come? Why? Well, people change. How come? Why? Well, there's tribal allegiances. Sometimes that's how the Arabs were. They were taken by, they were challenged. They'd have to prove themselves. It's a very, very interesting thing, actually. But yeah, so she stayed in Mecca, actually. She did not migrate. And she took care of the people, weak people, and so on, right? Let's go down. And of course, we know that Abbas and he later, yes, she was married to Abbas before he embraced Islam, yes. But then obviously they're together and they confronted the Quraysh on the Battle of Khaybar, okay? And Khaybar was conquered and the Muslims won everything. At that time, Hajjaj bin Arta as-Sulami sought the Prophet and permission to go to Mecca, recover his money and debts owed to him. The Prophet and permit him to go and sought permit to say whatever he wanted as a strategic way of making people allow him to get his rights. Hajjaj came to Mecca, spread the news amongst the people that the Jews had killed Muhammad and that the Muslims were roundly defeated. He also told that many Muslims were killed. Right? He then retrieved all his wealth and debts that people owed him and went back to Medina. Abbas, what he did is he accosted him on his way and asked him about the actual situation, for he was very concerned and sad about what he had said. Hajjaj told him the trust and requested him to keep the matter secret. And he did. Abbas was extremely happy about the truth that the Muslims won and that the Jews were defeated. So he came back home to inform his wife. After a few days, Abbas came out in his best attire and with the help of his wife, who wore the best perfume. She was also an exceptional high spirit. Abbas went to the courtyard of the Kaaba where the people were standing there. And when they saw him in his adornment with the perfume, they said, "Is this how you how to show patience in the face of calamity?" He did not give to hoot in their scorning. He let them know the facts in full and how Hajjaj fooled them. Okay. Abbas then added, "What more? Muhammad, my nephew, is now the groom to the daughter of the Jewish king." We know that, right? What happened? The news was like a storm to them. They really, were grieving. Al-Fadl, She remained in Mecca with her husband Abbas until after the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. When the Messenger of Allah came to Mecca in the company of the companions, right, to perform Umrah, this is before Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and they wanted to perform Umrah, okay? So he proposed marriage to Maymuna, who is al-Fadl's sister, and a widow whose husband, Abu Rahim, died in the state of polytheism. She used to live in the house of her sister, al-Fadl, under the protection of Allah. The Prophet proposed marriage to her, and we know that he married her, right? All of them left to Mecca and then went to Medina, okay, with their entire house. In Medina, al-Fadl was frequent visitor to the Prophet's house. She would enter, came to visit her sister Maymuna, or any of the other Prophet's wives. Everyone knew her. Everyone knew her. One night, al-Fadl had a dream and came to the Prophet ﷺ seeking his opinion concerning that dream, so to interpret it. And she said, I saw it in my dream that a part of your body is in the house. The Prophet ﷺ then answered her, Fatima, my daughter, will give birth to a boy whom you will nurse with the milk, and with the milk of her son, subhanAllah. So, beautiful, like amazing, and subhanAllah, how the Prophet would interpret dreams, right? So, if you look at like, how would you know that it's a boy, right? He says it's a boy, specification, right? Very important to understand this is the fact that it's one of the revelations actually and prophecies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like the dreams. And that was how the prophethood of the Prophet actually started, with true dreams. Now, let's go down. Fatima gave birth to Hussein, and al-Fadl nursed him along with her son. When he was a few months old, she brought the boy to his grandfather and sat him down in his lap. The boy urinated on the Prophet, subhanAllah, and al-Fadl smacked him between his shoulders. The Prophet then rebuked her. You have hurt my son. May Allah have mercy on you, subhanAllah. Right? Subhanallah. al-Fadl entered the house of the Prophet ﷺ, and she was a woman to keep an eye on in the Prophet ﷺ's household. She played a very, very important role. Okay, so these are authentic narrations, beautiful understanding of how these women had such an important role. But you look at it again, like the support that they had for the Prophet ﷺ, the support that they had for the Sahaba, right? How they're interconnected, the family ties. Makes sense now, right? How Hassan Hussein, how they're raised, the foster mothers. Right? So al-Fadl was the foster mother, okay? And how she take care of them. But also look how strong those women are, subhanAllah, how they dealt with kids. Today you just scream at a child and it's like abuse and it's trauma, whatnot. Subhanallah. No. There's one occasion, something about fasting, about the Prophet ﷺ on Yawm al-Arafah. So Fadl, she brought the Prophet ﷺ milk and he drank from it to show the people that he's not fasting. Okay, it's interesting because look at their adab, they didn't want to go to the Prophet ﷺ like, oh, are you confusing us? Are you fasting or not? Right, so we see how smart she was and how she dealt with it to show everyone that he's not fasting, right? By actually making him eat or drink. No. Now let's go down. Okay, we'll stop here. Asma bin Umays, inshallah. The question about was it allowed for Muslim to marry? I believe it was not, but she converted and he didn't, right? So Sheikh was one of the first ones to revert to Islam. Okay, but he didn't. So they stayed together. Questions would be, is it allowed for a Muslim woman to stay with a non-Muslim man? Obviously, there's difference of opinion, like with most things. But if you look at it, right, there was quite a few incidents where some of them would stay for some time. And that's why Saudi ulama say, well, it's got to be a certain amount of time. You know, she can give him dawah. She can try to get him to, you know, to become Muslim. And so on. She tried really hard, by the way. It took a long time, but alhamdulillah, he did become Muslim. So, you know, these opinions sometimes need to be understood and examined. Is it that easy? They just tell a woman to just divorce her husband? It's not that simple. But at the same time, yeah, it can cause a lot of problems, especially if you don't have children, you're gonna have children, you're gonna be raised as non-Muslim. So it's not permissible for a, a woman to marry a non-Muslim man. The question is if they're already married, if they're already together, and she becomes Muslim, what happens then? So some said no, she has to leave because it does not befit for a believing man, a woman married to a believing man, to a non-believing man. But it takes time. It's not like, okay, today. And it's kind of the same thing, yani, with the man, right? So let's say a guy who becomes Muslim and he's got a woman she's Hindu. Okay. Well, he cannot also stay with her for too long because she's not a Christian or a Jew that the Muslims is allowed to stay with, right? She can be a Buddhist, maybe an atheist. He cannot stay with her. He cannot stay with her. So it's not always just about, oh, the man, you know, he cannot, the woman is restricted. No, you have to understand, depending on the situation, the circumstance. Okay. But like this is very important when it comes to like new Muslims, right? Let's say new Muslim woman becomes, you know, obviously committed to Islam, she takes the Shahada. Her husband's a nice guy, but he says, okay, I'm happy for you, my darling, but I don't want to embrace Islam, right? Now, what does she do? She says, okay, I divorce you. Yeah, she could, and Allah will reward, inshallah. But it's not like that, not that simple. The Ulama said you have to take your time, give down, wait a bit, somewhat. So it's not that simple, okay? We need to understand that, right? When we look at the fiqh, different opinions, it's very important to know these events in the seerah of the Prophet because they are evidences. At the same time, you know, it's any there can always be exceptions. Okay, there can always be exceptions. Al-Abbas was related to Prophet, no doubt. Now someone is gonna look at that. You know, the possibility of Al-Abbas becoming Muslim. That's something important for the Prophet because it's his family. Of course, he's a human being. And of course, he's gonna like it when his family becomes Muslim. Okay, if his uncle becomes Muslim, more than if someone else becomes Muslim. Okay, normal. More like when someone your family members succeeds in an exam or something, a job, gets a raise, you get happy because it's your family member. Some other person, your neighbor or someone, you know, you hear about this down the street, they got a raise. Okay, alhamdulillah for that, but you're not going to be like as happy as you are with your own family. It's just impossible, right? So this is how we understand that. Now, طيب, جزاكم الله خير. May Allah bless all of you. بإذن الله تعالى. We will see you next week. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.